We've all been there, just out on a normal stroll, enjoying some Monster Hunter, kicking paratoads, watching our Bazelgeuse get paralyzed because it's funny to me, gathering materials and what have you, just hanging out, having a good time. And then... yeah! Bazelgeuse. That's right, it's your boy Dak908. I'm gonna show you guys a couple of tips and tricks how to knock this bomber out the sky and keep him grounded for good. Any hunter worth their salt will tell you right now that prep is key to winning any hunt. First off, let's start with the items. Off the rip, we're looking at your standard measure of potions, no potions, mega potions, stamina regenerating things like rations, energy drink, water and steak, things like that. And then we'll move over to the things that I think is a little bit interesting, a little bit different. I would highly recommend you guys come in here with mega demon drug and mega armor skin. These two things increase your defense and attack tremendously, and they last for quite some time. Now I recommend only bringing two, so that way you take the first one, you start the quest off, you fight, it wears off, you take another one, and then those two slots are emptied out of your item pouch, and you can scroll through your items a lot quicker. Think to get flash pods, dung pods, bombs, and even traps. Obviously we're going to use the flash pods to knock Baz out the sky in case he gets too comfortable in there. Then we're going to use the dung pods and say, some other monster decides to come to the area, gonna get him knocked out the way, or we can use the dung pods themselves on Baz, so that way we need to move him from one area to another, we can do it a lot easier. Now for the bombs and traps, obviously we're gonna use the bombs to blow his face off, and the traps we're gonna use to actually capture him in case we want the quest to end a little quicker, or to get those extra reward. Also, before we head out, remember to grab some max potions and maybe some ancient potions if you're balling like that. Now let's take a gander at the armor. Now I highly suggest you come in with something that's at least rare 6 with over, well, close to 300 defense. Also, a bit of fire resistance wouldn't be bad either. A real popular set is actually Rathalos, him or his counterpart. But if you're a Lance like myself, Urigan is also there for you as well. But if you can't get fire res on a particular armor set that you already have, don't worry about it, because fire res is a skill that I highly suggest to actually gem in. You might have a couple of fire res jewels lying around, but if you don't, Elder has your back, and she'll hook you up with some of those. Now what it really does is it gives you plus 20 effects to your fire resistance and a plus 10 to your defense, so that's just really good. Now speaking of defense, we're going to get a little bit more defense, because the next skill I recommend is defense. Now I would only say maybe level 3 on it, because it gives you plus 15 to defense. That's not that bad, it's not too shabby, and you might be kind of running low on slots on your armor. So with that being said, the last skill I say you should totally have is Fortify. Every time you fall in battle, you come back 10% stronger in terms of your attack and 15% stronger in terms of your defense. So upwards to 20% increase to your attack and a 30% increase to your defense on top of all the defensive stats we already have before. So with our skills laid up, that's what it's looking like. A wise man once said, knowing your enemy is half the battle. I think. It might have went something like that. Regardless, it doesn't matter, but what we're going to do is we're going to learn about our enemy today. That's right, Baz, I'm still looking at you. So, first off, his weakness. His weakness is thunder, so if you do not own a thunder weapon right now, you really need to. Tobi-Kadachi or Kirin is going to be your best bets. There are also, I believe, 1 or 2 thunder weapons that the workshop themselves have made, they're created, I guess just to say, for them so that you can actually use. But if you don't have Kirin, which is another elder dragon I haven't talked about yet, Tobi-Kadachi, go fight him a couple of times, make a weapon, get it out, grind it out, get the stuff. Good? Good. So now we have his weapon, or a weapon of his weakness. Next is his weak spots. Now, the scary thing about Bazel is that his weak spots is his chin and his tail, the very places where he dropped the scales from, which is okay, because these weak spots are very long, so they actually have a much easier chance for you to hit them, because the hitbox itself is just so large. Now, if you're not underneath him while he's dropping these scales, it's not really that big of an issue. Poke these scales, cut these scales, slam these scales, and you're going to do great damage. As far as location goes, Baz is a globetrotter, meaning he is found everywhere and doesn't really have a place to call his own home. So with that being said, you can find him in a multitude of different locations, which is a good and a very bad thing. But in this particular case, we're going to talk about the Elder Recess, because his proper hunt is actually in this said area. Now the one issue I would say between his location here is the fact there's not a lot of things you can actually use in the area to actually do combat with him against, especially in the locations which he actually likes to fight at. So the best thing I can really say is that in Area 8, there's a couple of boulders you can actually shoot down for them to fall on top of them. And in Area 7, you can make use of the lava spout right there. It's not very, reliable, because it's a timed kind of thing, and it's based on the level itself. When it's ready to erupt, it will erupt, and you have to just wait for them to actually just be in that area for him to get hit with it. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend the lava spout, but the boulders from area 8 I would totally do, because you can fight him in there a couple of times. Every now and then I have fought him in there, but other than that, there's not really much else you could do in the Eldritch Recess to actually take advantage of the location. For the most part, you're just gonna have to fight him straight up raw. Battle tactics. Okay, so now we're getting to the real juicy stuff, the stuff that actually matters a whole lot to a lot of people, and myself included. How we are actually going to beat this monster. So first and foremost, let's look at our weapon types. There are 14 weapon types in Monster Hunter World, and I'm going to show you guys how to approach this particular monster and how to fight him with just a couple of them. I'm choosing some of the more popular weapon types out there because more people are just going to be using these to begin with anyway. So with that being said, first off the rip, we're going to look at the Charge Blade. Charge Blade approach is a whiff punish based style. Baz has slow ground attacks, so you can capitalize on those attacks while also charging your sword and shield, so that when you get the right opening, you can use your supers to do both damage and as a means to go for the knockout. You can block the scale explosions, but if you're in axe mode, you have a better dodge roll and better control if you need to weave the minefield, so to speak. Let fly flash pod when it's on a bombing run, and you'll grant you that time you need for your SAED, your super amped elemental discharge. Rinse, dry, repeat. Now, I said the Charge Blade's playstyle with Baz is a whiff punish kind of one. Well, the embodiment of whiff punishing is indeed the hammer. The whole purpose of the hammer is to whiff punish. Let a monster do something stupid, you capitalize and hit him in the head with it. The hammer is just that. That's really all you have to do with Baz. It should be a lot harder to do because his main thing to actually attack is from the front between the scales and his flame breath, but that's just kind of the role you have to put up the hammer. Wait for your perfect opportune moment. Use your impeccable dodge roll. Get out of the way. Hit him in the tail if you have to, because it's also a huge weak spot. Bow is one of those weapons when used against Baz that it's no competition. The bow is going to win. Have you any actual issues though? Remember, keep trying to debilitate the enemy as best you can by using sleep, poison, and paralysis coatings, while also waiting for your chance to use your nice Dragon Piercer setups when you actually have the chance to have the monster knocked down. Use a flash pod if he's actually flying in the air, which is very easy to do. Once he hits the ground, go for your Dragon Piercer spam. I mean, it's cheap, but hey, it works. Definitely do that. On top of that, combine that with bombs and things like that once you actually do debilitate it with paralysis, maybe even traps, and you're gonna have a very easy run for your bow. Now, the thing that'll set any monster apart from any other monster, it's its own special attacks. Now, for the most part, every monster has a standard measure of hip checks and bite attacks and tail spins and things like that. Well, Bazelgeuse is no different, but what sets him apart definitely is his super unique attacks that are solely his and his alone. Let's take a look at those really quickly. The center points and aim of Bazel's attacks are his scales. When struck, they explode. He will strike them, you will strike them, regardless they explode. What he likes to do is, he'll shake some from his body onto the ground and drag his whole head and body through them, allowing them to explode and for you to get hit with the attack as well. One of his more common attacks and one that you will definitely see when you're fighting him on the ground. Next, he has actually a breath, a fire breath if you will. What he likes to do, shake some more scales on the ground and then throw some fire out. Now, the length of his breath isn't very far, but that's why he doubles the length of it with the scales. So, might have to watch out for it if you aren't really on the quick draw to see it actually come out. Now we're looking at his strafe run attack. It's where he takes off into the sky, goes in one direction laying off some scales, going in another direction laying off some scales, coming back in one more direction and coming in for that landing. The explosive landing, that is. Lastly, one thing I should totally note is that when he's enraged, he will get all nice and glowy and whatnot, and all of his scales explode like almost instantaneously. Like there's little to no time for them to actually explode. So he can do any of the attacks I said from before in his enraged mode and they will explode immediately, or very close to immediately, like within a second or so. Now the last thing I would like to note is that his scales will fall from his body by him doing next to anything. So him moving or doing all the smaller attacks that I mentioned, you know, the little hip check, the tail spins, scales will fall. Now if you allow too many scales to fall around you, it's okay, don't freak out. You can actually leave the area, not the whole area, but leave the immediate vicinity of where those scales are, shoot them with some slinger ammo, it'll set off a chain reaction, they'll all explode and you'll clear the ground for you, so that way you don't have to navigate a whole minefield. And there you have it, my tips for success when fighting the Bazelgeuse, or Baz, or however you would like to call him. But hopefully you've looked through this video and you found a couple of tips, a couple of tricks, you know, maybe even seeing something from a different perspective. It was like, hey, that's exactly what I need to know, or exactly what I need to see to help you actually up your game to fight Baz. Now, Baz is kind of a difficult monster, I will admit. He was definitely a new one that I never saw coming in my own personal experience ever. He's the newest monster since maybe Valfok, and you guys probably don't know who I'm talking about, but some of you might. Anyway, regardless, he's really nutty, and I could totally see why people need a lot of help with him, and hopefully this video did find you some help. And with that, my 5 tips. It's been your boy, the Dig Dug himself, Dak9away. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and if you liked it, yo, let me know what side I worked on it. Take care.